All right, it's recording now. So, Ex9C, I'm going to introduce to it, and then I'm going to make videos over the long weekend to cover all of this more in detail. But just to give you an intro, if you want to go ahead, your main thing in 9C and 9D is to learn how to use what they call a finance or financial solver. It's an app on your calculator. It's very powerful to do things like calculating the future value. So how much do you owe in the future? How long does it take to pay off the entire mortgage? That's what this financial solver does. Okay, so your job is to get familiar with it. Now you can go through the examples, and the examples will teach you how to use it, but I'm going to quickly show you what it looks like. Now notice here in part of your notes in your textbook, I want you to look at this key part, the rules, and you have to keep reminding yourself. The rule is, if the bank gives you money, it is positive. If you give the bank money, it is negative. That's going to be key, because that's in the harder questions of 9C, you have to know when to switch the signs. Okay? Thank you. Not right now. Here we go. In your financial solver, I already copy pasted this section, but it's for you to know what those mean. Now I'm just going to show on the side. On your calculator, if you go to menu, finance, so number 8, menu 8, and there's that number 1, which is called financial solver or finance solver. Right here, I want you to know a couple of things here. Don't press up and down, okay? Because when you get down to PPY, okay, I'll tell you what that means later. If you keep pressing up and down, it just moves the numbers. So how do you move from one tab to the next? Press tab. Press tab as your way of moving back and forth. Okay, on my computer, I can do shift tab and it goes backwards. I'm not sure if you can do the same if you press shift tab where it goes backwards as well. Okay, so tab moves forwards, shift tab goes backwards. Now, what does PV, PMT, FV, PPY, and CPY stand for? I know, there's a lot of terms here. On your page, on OneNote, which is actually from your textbook as well, I've got the definitions here for you. Okay, so N is the total number of payments. Another way of thinking about it is how many compounding you do. So for example, in a year, if I said I'm compounding monthly, then you would expect that you're going to pay me back 12 times in a year. Okay, so how many times would I compound it? If I told you that you're borrowing the loan for 2 years, therefore compounding it monthly, then it'll be 24. Okay, so that's what N stands for. What is I? I% is the annual interest rate. So this is your per annum. Don't change that to month or something. They will do it for you. Okay, you just need to give the rate per annum. This is called a nominal rate. So you just need to make sure whatever the rate they give you, that's what you put in. Okay, not the monthly rate, not the daily rate. You don't need to calculate that. They will do that for you.
So this can do this chapter
Correct.
9. You're joking.
That's why it follows in that order. 9A was recurrence, 9B is understanding what reducing balance loan is, and then 9C uses financials.
I don't actually have to do any of this by myself.
Depends on the question. Depends on the question. So they may ask you to do it for the 3rd month or so. You might still need to figure it out. Amortization tables, you can't do that with this. Okay? Next one, what's FV? Listening, year 12s. 12s. Thank you. Shh. Thank you. FV is your future value. So what does future value mean? If you borrow $10,000 and you want to know how much you're going to owe if you pay back, I don't know, $50 every month, and you want to know when will it be after, I don't know, 5 months, what's the future value of that? How much have you owed? They can calculate that for you. So FV is the future value of the loan. If you borrowed $10,000 after 5 years, where does it stand or where does it sit? That's what FV stands for. And then PPY and CPY sounds funny, but this is your number of payments per year. Okay, very similar to N, but N can change more than 1 year. It can go up to 24 months, 24 payments. PPY is the number of times you pay in 1 year, and exactly 1 year. Okay, and then CPY, year 12s, thank you. CPY is the number of times the interest is compounded. Often these two are the same. So you should find that PPY and CPY are the same. There may be a very rare occasion where that changes, but otherwise most time it should be the same. Okay? And then finally, PMTA TAT or PMTAT is used to indicate whether the interest is compounded at the end or at the beginning of time period. So that's probably something that you'll play with later. But for now, all you really work with is everything to do with this section here. N all the way to this section. That is what you need to familiarize yourself with. Now the examples will consolidate your understanding there, but you'll see the linkage of 9B and 9C. So here's an example. Let's do an example together so that you can get a feel of it.
Is that it? And then you just enter the
Correct. Correct. So you stay within that zone, and it depends on what you want to solve. You change the numbers. Okay, so here we go. Let's look at example 6. So example 6, I'm just going to delete everything for now. So I'm deleting everything. Okay, here we go. All the way to the top. So they said Andrew borrows $20,000. So that's the amount that Andrew borrowed to start off with. So you can say that the initial amount, present PV, that's the initial amount is $20,000. Okay? The interest rate is 7.25% per annum. So you can literally just type in 7.25 in the I percent column. Okay, so present value is 20,000. Okay, so I'm typing in 20,000. And then compounding monthly. Okay, so we know it's monthly now. It says this loan will be repaid over 4 years. So over 4 years, how many months or how many times would this be the payments will happen? So that's where you do, and you don't actually have to work it out. You can actually just type in 4 years times the number of months. See what I'm doing there? I'm just doing 4 times 12, and they'll work it out for me. So you don't actually have to work it out separately outside of the finance solver. You can type it in as you are solving. Okay? So I've got number of payments, I've got my present value, and I've got my rate. Now, with payments of $481.25, okay, PMT is payment. PMT is payment. So here we go. I'm going to go to payment, PMT. I'm paying back $481.25. And the question was A, how much, correct to the nearest cent, does Andrew owe after 3 years? Right? Now, after 3 years, how many times would you have to compound that? That would have been 3 times 12. That's the number of times you would have compounded. So that's why PPY, how many times does it occur? Monthly is 12 times. CPY is 12 times. So now what are you looking for? You're looking for the future value. How much would it be after 3 years? So if I press enter in FV, it calculates it for me. Okay? In my case, what did I must have typed something wrong here. Sorry. Has anyone seen my error there? What am I missing? What am I missing? So what am I doing wrong? So I got 36 payments for 3 years. I've got my interest, I've got my amount. This is how much I pay back. And yet why do I get negative $44,000? The value should be correct. What am I doing wrong here? And this is why it was key in your notes before